Good morning and welcome to the Joseph Hartman Talk Show. We have three special guests today. This episode is sponsored by Candy at the Ambassador Property Management Division. Candy is here, and then we have Earl Salter, the legendary tax advisor who has been advising escrow companies and real estate offices and apartment owners since 1807. And then we have Rich Trujillo, who is the legendary farmers insurance rep, insuring commercial, residential, all types of dwellings since 1971. So let's get started. Candy, what is going on in your world in property management? And thank you for sponsoring today's show.
Thank you, and good morning to everybody.
Thank you.
Well, I had just attended a little property management get-together with all of us managers, and an attorney was there and just gave a few tips. So I was just going to mention what we had written down for that. And the first one was regarding late rents. Ask tenants to write a letter or email why they will be late. An example was they were requesting a payment plan as to why they were late. And it's important to have that documented. So we had learned that, and I'm going to put these on. Number 2 was no longer servicing owners or tenants. If that's the case, you definitely want to make sure you send out a letter regarding that you will no longer be managing property. It's important to have a paper trail on that. Moving right along on 3, on rental agreements, this was a really good idea. The attorney suggested that if there are any attorney fees or court costs, the owner's part not to exceed $750. Kind of good to incorporate that on there, and that is good for owners. Couple left here on rental agreements. Note, interior inspections was a really big deal. Make sure you have 2 of those a year. Make sure you get it in writing. And the last one I thought was most important that I had not been doing, and that's on when people come in and pay their rent, and let's just say they couldn't afford to pay it all, instead of writing them a receipt stating what month they paid it in, make sure it says payment on account. Do not specifically state what month it was for, and that would be, in case you had to go to court later. So these were just a few tips I wanted to share today.
Candy spends her day managing apartments, so she's dealing with tenants and landlords all day long. Your phone number, if they want to get a hold of you?
Our office number, area code 562-236-0102.
So someone watching the election, the whole market, what do you think apartment owners need to know about what's coming up?
Well, there will definitely be some changes in 2017. We don't know exactly what there's going to be, but when you have a new administration, you're going to have some changes. Obama hasn't done anything, he hasn't changed anything one way or the other, but there will be some changes in 17. From what I understand, if Trump gets in, and this is not a political situation, if Trump gets in, there will be little or no change in exchanges because Trump is big on 1031 exchanges because that is how he has acquired most of his property. Hillary Clinton doesn't seem to know enough about it one way or the other. Can she make changes? Hard to say. But there's going to be some changes. What they're trying to do right now, the National Association of Federation of Exchangers and Accommodators, which I am one of the members, wants to extend the 45-day identification period to 90 days. Will that happen? Hard to say. It's one of the things that they're looking at changing. There's also going to be a change that you will only be able to exchange real estate for real estate. Right now, you can exchange antique cars for antique cars, horses for horses, race horses. We do those. But they're going to limit it to nothing but real estate. That's not a bad thing because 90% or even more of all the exchanges we do are real estate. That's what we're looking at.
Earl is not a Republican or a Democrat, he's a Mennonite.
That's correct.
Anything that your clients are there any mistakes that you're seeing in their, when you prepare the apartment owners' taxes? Anything stick out at you? Any advice on thinking about taxes for this year for apartment owners?
Yeah, the thing that we're having problems with right now, the IRS has got a new term called drop and swap. That means that someone who is involved in a LLC or a corporation and they want to dissolve that and split up and each go their own way, they can't do that in the same year of the transaction. That's called drop and swap. So what they need to do is dissolve the corporation or dissolve the LLC and go into it as individuals, and a year later, go ahead and do an exchange. If it's done within the same year, the IRS will say that that's a drop and swap transaction, and that is not legal. We're seeing that a lot. You cannot change entities in the year of the exchange. Another thing we're seeing is that the state of California and the state of New York, have developed a new program to audit exchanges over $1 million. Anytime the transaction is greater than $1 million, you have a 100% chance of being audited by the Franchise Tax Board here in California. The Franchise Tax Board has a 5-year look back. IRS only has 3. So they've got a lot more time to audit these exchanges. And what they're looking for is boot, cash taken out for some reason. That's what they're looking for, and that's what they're catching. Or they're catching drop and swap, or they're finding out people have moved into one of the units within a 2-year period. That's what we have problems with.
If someone is unhappy with their tax advisor, wants a second opinion, they can bring in their tax forms to you, what they filed, and you'll give them an estimate, an idea of what
Absolutely.
How do they get a hold of you?
They can reach me at my office at area code 562-863-4808. Again, 562-863-4808. And just for your information, I am an enrolled agent, which means I carry a special license issued by the United States Treasury Department and the Internal Revenue Service, and I specialize in real estate tax law. That's what I do.
Do you have a badge, a special badge that you can flash?
Absolutely.
For the last 35 years, whenever I've had a tax question, I just get on the phone, and I don't care where he is. He's hunting in Zimbabwe or hiking in Nepal. He always calls me back or answers the phone. So when you ask me a tax question, I call him. So they can call you at phone number again?
562-863-4808.
So next time you have a tax question, ask him yourself. Rich, what's going on in the world of insurance for apartment owners that you want to share?
Well, just listening to Candy and to Earl, something jumped out at me just now. We've had some claims on this with on-site property managers. The on-site property management they've figured out, the attorneys have figured out that there is a big potential for quick money. Sometimes they used to put in a work comp claim, and work comp is now starting to question those things a little bit. So sometimes the attorneys know it's easier to go after employment practices, wrongful termination. Maybe the property manager made them feel bad, and because there's usually a high deductible on that employment practices, they threaten the owner, look, we're going to sue you for $50,000, or you pay $5,000 and we'll go away, and you fix the problem. So that's one thing. The other thing is make sure you protect your property. We just had a call from a property owner. Somebody got on the property. They don't even know who he was. He fell off the building, and this was in 2014. Fell off the building. The family is now suing the property owner. Thank God he's got the right liability, farmer's insurance, and we're going to protect him. And I talked to the claims adjuster, and they said, it won't stand up in court that even if you didn't know who the guy was, even if it's 2 years later, if you didn't take steps to protect your property from those kind of things, you're liable if somebody dies. So, employment practices, make sure your liability is current. And the last thing I want to talk about, especially with natural disasters, if you don't have earthquake on your property, you may want to seriously consider. Just look at all those people in Louisiana who hadn't had a flood in 50 years. Those people are SOL.
So you do flood insurance, you do earthquake insurance?
We do earthquake, we do
Everything.
flood, yes.
You do people falling off a building insurance?
Yes,
Everything, you got it.
that's
How do
correct.
people get a hold of you?
714-522-0081, 714-522-0081. And for those, it's a little interesting. My agency is the Trujillo and Daughters Agency. I have 3 daughters. They work with me in the agency, and there's always somebody there to talk to, and we're bilingual.
And they're happy when you're out of town, from what I hear.
Yeah, they.
So, Rich, someone could take their insurance policies and come over to you. You could look them over and give them tips on how they could do it better, or even if you're not with them.
No obligation. We're just interested in developing a relationship.
So, Rich, Earl, and Candy will have your phone numbers at the end of the video. Thank you for coming in today, and thank you, Candy, for sponsoring our show today.
Thank you again. It's my pleasure.